When your own child looks you in the eye across the Christmas table, right next to the glazed ham, the mashed potatoes, and the peppermint pie you've made every year since he was in diapers, and tells you you're not family, you start to question everything. And I mean everything. I'm Susan. I'm 52, born and raised in Vermont. I've done everything by the book. Raised two kids mostly on my own after their father bailed, worked double shifts as a nurse for 20 years, scrimped and saved for college tuitions, braces, you name it. And through it all, I believed in one thing above all else: family sticks together. So when my son, Michael, my baby boy, the one who used to beg for one more bedtime story and hug me so hard his little arms would shake, sat there on Christmas Eve and said, "You're not really my family," in front of everyone, my world cracked open. Let me take you back a few weeks. December started normal enough. I decorated the house just like I always do. Lights on the porch, pine-scented candles in the hallway, stockings for everyone, even Michael's new fiancée, Clara. She's polite, a little distant, and she's got this way of looking at you like she already knows something you don't. But I welcomed her in. I even offered to give them a down payment for a house, told them I'd help with the wedding, because that's what moms do. Michael called less and less in December. At first, I thought it was work. He's in tech now, some high-flying job out in San Francisco. I don't pretend to understand half of what he does, but I was proud. I bragged about him to anyone who'd listen. Then came the silence. No calls, no texts, nothing. Not even a, "Hey Mom," on my birthday, which, by the way, is December 18th. I brushed it off, told myself he was busy. Maybe Clara was planning something special. Fast forward to Christmas Eve dinner. My daughter Emily, her boyfriend, and my sister Carol were all there. I made a roast, my famous mac and cheese, and of course, my cranberry walnut bread. We laughed, we toasted, we pulled crackers. And then Michael and Clara arrived, an hour late, no explanation. They barely said hello. Clara didn't even take her coat off. She just perched on the edge of the couch like she couldn't wait to leave. Michael was tense. He hugged Emily but gave me one of those half-hearted, one-armed hugs that made my stomach drop. We sat down to eat. I tried to fill the silence with stories about Michael's first Christmas concert, the time he thought Santa lived in our basement. But Clara rolled her eyes, and Michael kept checking his phone. It was awkward, but I kept smiling. And then it happened. Emily asked when Michael and Clara were planning their wedding. Clara smiled this tight, fake smile and said, "Well, we're keeping it small. Just immediate family." I laughed and said, "Well, I guess I better find something nice to wear." That's when Michael looked up, dead serious, and he said, "Mom, you're not invited." The table went silent. You could hear the ticking of the clock in the hallway. Emily dropped her fork. My heart started pounding in my ears. "What are you talking about?" I said, trying to laugh it off. "Of course I'm invited. I'm your mother." He didn't blink. "We've decided it's going to be just close family. Clara's parents, her siblings, my dad." That's when I knew. He said his dad, not me. Not the woman who raised him, who stayed up with him when he had the flu, who taught him to drive, who stood in the rain at his high school graduation with a sign that said, "Go Mikey." I sat there, stunned. And before I could speak, he added, "You're not really part of our family anymore." I excused myself, went upstairs, shut the door, and I cried. Not just because of what he said, but because deep down, I knew this wasn't just him. Someone had gotten in his ear, twisted things, made him believe I wasn't enough. But he didn't know what I knew. He didn't know that I had his secret. See, Michael wasn't always the golden boy he pretends to be. Back in college, he made a mistake, a big one, and I'm the only reason his life didn't fall apart. I covered it up, quietly paid someone off, swore to never speak of it again. And I didn't, until now. Because if he wants to act like I'm not family, then maybe it's time the whole family learns who he really is. I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling in the guest room, listening to the wind knock against the window and replaying Michael's words over and over in my head. You're not really family anymore? Like I was some ex-girlfriend he could ghost. Like 28 years of loving him, raising him, sacrificing for him, meant absolutely nothing. I wanted to scream. I wanted to march back downstairs and demand answers. But I didn't. I waited. Because if I was going to say something, I was going to say everything. Christmas morning, the house was quiet. Emily knocked on my door, said she and her boyfriend were leaving early to go to his parents' house. She hugged me tight. I could tell she was angry, but she didn't know what to say. Honestly, neither did I. Michael and Clara were still asleep in the guest suite downstairs. I made coffee, stared out the kitchen window, and thought about what to do next. That's when I remembered the envelope. Tucked inside a shoebox in the back of my closet, beneath old letters and high school report cards. It was all still there. Copies of the emails, the bank withdrawal slips, and the signed NDA. Proof that I had covered up a very messy mistake when Michael was just 20. It started during his sophomore year. He got involved with a group of guys running a crypto scheme on campus, one of those pump and dump scams targeting new students. They convinced freshmen to invest their scholarship money, then disappeared with the funds. Michael didn't mastermind it, but he took part, used his computer science skills to build the fake website. He got caught. One of the victims was the son of a state senator. Things could have gone very, very bad. But the senator didn't want press. He wanted silence. I pulled together everything I had, $37,000, and paid the family quietly, in cash. In exchange, they signed an NDA and dropped it. I transferred Michael to another school, made him promise to clean up his life. He did. At least I thought he did. He never thanked me, never brought it up again, and I never asked him to. That's what mothers do, right? We protect our kids, even when they don't deserve it. But now, after what he said at dinner, I didn't owe him silence anymore. I printed out copies of everything, put it in a plain white envelope. And I waited. They came upstairs around noon, acting like nothing had happened. Clara didn't even make eye contact with me. Michael said they were heading out soon. I asked him to sit for a minute. I handed him the envelope across the kitchen island. He frowned. "What's this?" I said. "Just something to remind you of what family really means." He opened it, read the first page. His face went pale. He looked up at me like a deer caught in headlights. "Where did you get this?" he whispered. I didn't flinch. "I kept it because I knew one day you'd forget what I did for you." Clara leaned over his shoulder, her eyes widening as she read the emails. "Is this real?" Michael didn't answer her. He just sat there, silent, jaw clenched. I said, "You want to act like I'm not your family? Fine. But don't sit there and pretend I haven't always been the one cleaning up after you. Your dad didn't pay that settlement. I did. Your little startup? I gave you the money. Your first apartment? I co-signed the lease. You want to erase me now that you're successful, after everything I've done?" He still said nothing, so I went further. "You think Clara's family is going to love you when they find out you were almost charged with felony fraud? You think you can build a marriage on lies?" Clara's mouth opened slightly. "You told me you were expelled because of grades." I looked her dead in the eye. "He lied. He got caught. I fixed it." The silence was unbearable. Then Michael finally said, "Why are you doing this?" "Because you tried to erase me," I said. "And you don't get to do that. You don't get to rewrite history just because it's convenient." He stood up, hands shaking. "We should go." I didn't stop him. As they packed up, Clara barely looked at me, but I saw the doubt on her face, the wheels turning. Michael came back into the kitchen alone, envelope in hand. He said, "Are you going to show this to anyone?" I shrugged. "I don't need to, but I will if you try to cut me out again. Consider this a reminder, Michael. Family doesn't vanish when you've outgrown them. They remember, they know you." He left. That evening, I sat alone, staring at the empty tree. The ornaments I'd collected over 3 decades glittered under the lights. My whole life, I'd believed love meant staying quiet, sacrificing, smiling through the hurt. But that night, I realized love also means holding people accountable, even your own child. The day after Christmas, I expected silence. I figured Michael and Clara would ghost me, cut me off like I was some stain they were trying to scrub out of their perfect lives. And I was ready for that, or at least I told myself I was. But instead, my phone rang. It was Emily. "Mom," she said, her voice shaking. "I think you need to see this." She sent me a screenshot from Clara's Instagram, one of those polished, curated posts with perfect lighting and 1,000 filters. It was a picture of her and Michael standing outside a cabin, mugs in hand, captioned, "Starting new traditions with my real family. Blessed act, chosen family." I stared at it. I reread the caption 5 times. Real family. Chosen family. That was it. That was the knife twisted into the wound. And it wasn't just the post. I made the mistake of scrolling through the comments. Clara's friends gushed. "You guys are the dream couple. Cutting out toxic people is the best thing you can do. Blood isn't thicker than boundaries." It hit me like a truck. I wasn't just being erased. I was being rebranded as the villain, the toxic one, the one they had to escape to become happy. I paced around my kitchen, trying to breathe, but something inside me snapped. Because I've lived through toxic, I've crawled my way out of trauma, I've bled to keep a roof over their heads. And now I was the problem? That's when I made a decision. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to argue. I was going to speak. I logged onto Facebook, where most of our extended family and old friends still followed me, and I wrote a post. Not a rant, not an attack, just the truth. I wrote, "Some of you saw Clara's Christmas post and might be wondering why I wasn't included. I won't go into every detail, but I will say this. In 2016, my son Michael was involved in a fraudulent investment scheme. He was young, he made a mistake, and he was caught. The situation could have ruined his life. Instead, I paid off the settlement and made it disappear. I did that because I love him. This Christmas, I was told I am no longer part of his real family. I will always love my children. But I won't be silent when lies are being told about who I am and what I've done." I hit post, and then the floodgates opened. Messages started pouring in. From cousins, old neighbors, even people I hadn't talked to in years. One read, "Susan, I remember how hard you worked. Don't let anyone rewrite that." Another said, "You don't deserve this. I've known Michael since he was a kid. He should be ashamed." Even some of Clara's distant relatives commented. One messaged me privately, "We always thought she was a little too quick to cut people off. You're not alone." And then the message I didn't expect. From Michael, just 3 words. "Can we talk?" I stared at it. For 20 minutes I stared. I almost deleted it. I almost blocked him. But I agreed. We met at a diner, just the 2 of us. No Clara, no pretense. He looked different, smaller somehow, like he'd been carrying the weight of what he said. He started with an apology, sort of. "I didn't think you'd actually go public," he said. "That's the apology?" I asked. "That I stood up for myself?" He winced. "Number, I just mean, I didn't think you'd ever turn on me." "I didn't turn on you," I said. "I told the truth. There's a difference." He nodded, eyes on the chipped tabletop. "Clara's big on boundaries. She says my relationship with you is too codependent." I blinked. "You mean the relationship where I paid your tuition, saved your future, helped you hide something that could have sent you to prison?" He didn't answer, so I leaned in. "Let me tell you something, Michael. Boundaries aren't a free pass to rewrite history. You don't get to claim me when it's convenient, then cut me off when it's not. You want to move on? Fine. But you don't get to pretend I wasn't there when everything fell apart." He looked up then, really looked at me. "I don't know how to fix this," he said. "You start by telling the truth," I replied. "To yourself, to Clara, and maybe, if you've got the courage, to the people you lied to when you decided I wasn't family anymore." was quiet a long time. I don't know if she'll forgive me, he finally said. I shrugged. That's not my problem. When we stood to leave, he tried to hug me, and I let him. But I didn't hug back, because forgiveness isn't owed, it's earned, and he hadn't earned it yet. A week went by. The Christmas lights were still up, but they felt more like reminders than decorations. Little glowing lies strung across the porch. The peppermint-scented candles had burned down to stubs. The tree was drying out, and the silence in the house was thick, heavy. Then, one morning, I woke up to a knock on the door. It was Clara, alone. She was wearing a long camel coat, no makeup, her expression stiff. She clutched a small leather purse like it was her last anchor to stability. "Can I come in?" she asked. I paused for a beat too long, then stepped aside. We sat at the kitchen table, the same one where Michael had tried to pretend I didn't exist. The same place I once taught him how to tie his shoes, where we'd made glittery paper snowflakes and spilled hot cocoa and laughed for hours. Clara didn't touch the cup of tea I made her. "I read everything," she said finally. "The emails, the documents, the NDA. Michael admitted it." I just nodded. "He told me you paid it all, that you never asked him for a thing, that you covered for him." Still, I said nothing. "I didn't know," she said quietly. "I didn't know the full story. I thought he was just letting go of a toxic parent." That word again. Toxic. It gets tossed around so easily these days, like it's a catch-all for any person who challenges your narrative. "Clara," I said, choosing my words carefully, "do you know how many times I went to bed hungry so he could eat? How many birthdays I spent in scrubs, taking care of strangers so I could keep the lights on at home? I didn't do that because I'm a saint. I did it because I'm his mother, and that's what love looks like when it's real." She looked down. "I think I got it wrong," she admitted. "I judged you without really knowing anything. I just believed what he told me, and he's so convincing. It's like he tells himself a version of the truth so well that even he believes it." I wasn't surprised. Michael had always been good at reshaping reality. As a kid, it was harmless, tall tales and made-up stories. But now, it was something else entirely. Now, it was revisionism. Survival, maybe, but at what cost? Clara stood up. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry," she said. "For the post, for everything. I took something sacred and made it ugly." That's when I saw the tears. Quiet, controlled, but real. "I don't know what's going to happen with us," she added. "He's not who I thought he was, but that's my problem to figure out." I walked her to the door. "Clara," I said, "you don't have to be perfect to be part of a family. You just have to show up and tell the truth. That's it." She nodded, pulled her coat tighter, and left. A few days later, Michael called again. He didn't apologize this time. Not exactly. But he did something better. He asked to come home. Not permanently, not for good, but just for a few days. To think, to reflect, maybe to try again. And I said yes, because here's the thing people don't understand about motherhood, especially the kind where you've done it mostly alone. You don't stop loving your child because they hurt you, but you do stop letting them hurt you over and over without consequence. Michael arrived late in the evening. No luggage, just a backpack. He hugged me at the door. This time, I hugged back, just for a moment. We sat in the living room drinking cocoa like old times. "I'm not asking for a reset," he said. "Just a restart." "That's fair," I said. "But it starts with honesty. No more pretending. No more edits to the truth." He nodded. "I can do that." That night, for the first time in weeks, I slept soundly. The next morning, he helped me take down the tree. We boxed up the ornaments, one by one. Some of them were cracked, others missing glitter, but they still meant something, just like us. Family isn't about perfect moments. It's about the ones you survive, the ones you carry, the ones you don't post on Instagram. It's messy, it's loud, it's painful, but when it's real, it's worth fighting for. So no, I didn't get the Christmas I expected, but I got something better. I got the truth.